My name is Shola Arobieke. For me personally, I think Governor Ibikunle Amosun has done well. Otumba Gbenga Daniel did well, laid the foundation. There are a lot of things like the Olokola, free trade zone that we're talking about that started from Otumba Gbenga Daniel. So many other things. I mean, the list goes on. He didn't, of course, 8 years is not enough to transform. Governor Ibikunle Amosun stepped it up, started the discussion, industrialization, urbanization. But you and I know our village is our village. We don't really want it urbanized. We still want to go back to the village and have all the things that we like about the village thing. But I know, I am sure, and I pray that this current governor will definitely take it to the next level because he prioritizes industry. Whenever I have a discussion with the industry, yes, he's interested in talking to them. He's interested in meeting with them. He's interested in engaging them. And the first step to success is when you engage people. You understand that, look, I have my limitation. I cannot do it alone. And when he had the meeting with Manufacturers Association, Nigeria Small Scale Industrialists, the feedback, even from when he was just a candidate, the gubernatorial candidate for APC, man, were impressed. He had this meeting that we organized. They were happy. They endorsed him. They were confident. And he's now the governor. He had another meeting with them. And they're confident. They have a lot of hope and they're ready to work with him. And what is important is that he's ready to work with them. And I look forward to a better Ogun State. An Ogun State where many more things will be produced. Adire will be standardized. It will not be, I'm afraid that we're going to wear it and it will fade off. A lot more things can be produced in Ogun State. And certification center, we're having an international certification center. The discussion was started with Governor Amosun, but I know that this current administration will complete it, where people that are looking at export can definitely have their product certified to international world-class standard. And that will be the first in Ogun State. They've already been allocated land. It's been done with Afrexim Bank. So they have their land, they've already started construction. So they're getting their consultant to help small businesses do this. Yes, special assistant to the governor on commerce and industry resigned. My last day effectively was 1st of December. The governor, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, the former governor, did a lot. I think he started the industrialization discussion. And I think in the area of industrialization, he made it open to the world, not only Nigerians, that Ogun State was available. And we did attract, under his leadership, attract a number of companies to come and set up in Ogun State. And also, as he made efforts to establish a relationship with the private sector to start the dialogue. In the area of urbanization, I think the governor also achieved a few things there with the bridges that has been constructed. Of course, road access into the state is very important, key areas, and also to save lives, because there are a number of issues with some areas that were causing a number of accidents. And I think with the bridge, it resolved that. So in the area of urbanization, another thing is that he also started the discussion on stakeholder engagement. So yes, amongst other things. And he also brought government closer to the people by establishing 57 local governments and LCDAs. Oh yes, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. Looking at the local government, the LCDs that I talked about, the idea behind it, the initiative, was a very good one, laudable, but they actually didn't get it right. The LCDs were just not functioning, unfortunately. So that's one area. Another area is with industrialization. The discussion was started. People were coming. Should I say we became overwhelmed? That was reflected in how we serviced our investors. Some people saw it as an opportunity to go out to the field to harass some companies, multiple taxation, local government brings this ministry brings theirs, because the industries were there. They wanted to work with us. We had a long list. We were engaging them. They were coming forward. We didn't really have to look for them. They were coming forward. So some people would take that database, start knocking on people's door. So that was abused. Also looking at rural areas as well, and also social investments in the area of health, rural roads, education. I mean, we have 52 primary schools in Ogun and a number of secondary schools. I have visited a lot, and I remember when I was in local government, I had the audit of the needs of the primary schools in Ogun. Some don't even have roofs. There's a lot to be done. And then when you look at those small needs, small but big needs, and then building a model schools, you now ask, have we gotten our priorities right? That's not to say that the idea of a model school is not a good one, but which comes first? Well, you serve at the governor's, desire. It's for a period. And I think it's an open secret that things changed in Ogun State. Should I say political interest, even affiliation, a lot of things were realigned. And I think, let me just put it in simple terms, I also had to realign. I mean, I was part of the transition committee. I also was in the project management unit in the commerce and industry. So I know the recommendations, what we put together. My experience being in commerce and industry, and we met with a lot of stakeholders, and that informed our recommendations. They were not instructed, but we ensured that we were taking a client's approach, not top down, this is what would happen. They were guiding us. They were telling us their plans. This is their expectation, which guided us in going back to the drawing board to come up with policies. The governor definitely wants to, I mean, like I said, the discussion has been started. There's going to be a lot more participation. There's going to be a lot more engagement. He's going to formalize. He's going to have a proper structure for feedback, for engagement with private sector. I know that the governor said it openly, there's going to be an advisory council, economic advisory council. That tells you how serious he takes this. And he keeps talking about creating an enabling environment. Closing of business is not going to be our first approach. We're not going to take a punitive approach to attracting or keeping our investors. We're going to take an incentive approach. Closing the business will not be our first point of call. Even when we have a business or an organization that's erring in one area or the other, we're going to have engagement. We're going to respect the rule of law. Keeping this business open will be our priority, but not at the risk of lives or the health of the community, no. But the governor definitely, I know that he has a lot of plan, even looking at area of PPP in the area of power sector, alternative energy sourcing, those are the things. He knows that he can't do it alone. Personally, I do a lot of programs with private sector, community-based projects with private sector. I know that the community can only do that much, but when we partner with private sector, it extends our ability. And for the past 6 years, I've done a lot of community projects with so many organizations in Ogun State. And I know that each year they send me, look, we're preparing our budget. What are your activities for this year? A lot with children within the rural, less privileged children within the rural communities. Now I've also moved to secondary school, the older ones. They're different, from the primary school, but I'm learning from them. And I find teachers calling me to say, look, we teach the students at school, but we want them to learn more about life. So we're planning an educational tour to the factories, because I heard that some of them have not even been out of the community. So that's part of education. That's also part of private sector partnership. And the governor will take that to the next level. I want to carefully answer that. Not because I want to hide anything, but have had the pleasure of working with other states, as a consultant. And I've had the pleasure, opportunity to work with some state governors. I mean, I commend Senator Ibikunle Amosu. He leads from the front. When the governors, you're bringing your file to show that you have actually done it. But I must say that this, our current governor, is very detailed. You don't go with, unprepared. You come with facts. You come with a good argument. I know that he has the experience. He has the understanding. And once you pay attention to detail and you seek for depth, you will definitely focus on economically viable projects. And that definitely goes a long way. Political projects are the one you do in one area. You realize that, oh my God, I can't sustain it. You run back to another area. But economically viable projects will go a long way in serving the needs of everybody in the community. And I know that that's where our government is focusing on. I believe the governor, Prince Dakwabiodun, he will prioritize economically viable projects. He will look at it. And as you can see, he's been setting up committees to review, to make recommendations, because he also wants it to be a participatory government. He would review those projects, look at economically viable projects, and finish them. Where a project is not economically viable, I'm sure it can be restructured to achieve that purpose. It's not about canceling. Because I didn't do it doesn't mean I don't have to finish it. Once it's economically viable, his interest will be Ogun State and the good people. He will put that first. Okay, I mean, I'm private sector, companies, industrialization is my thing. And I see it as critical because you come to me, you're not feeling well, you need money. If there's jobs, companies can also help with CSR. So I always like to look at industrialization. We have said a lot about industrialization. We have the land, we're making it available. We want to support industries. We don't have the retail we don't have the people compared to Lagos or Ibadan. What we need to focus on is the tertiary industry that supports industrialization. One, logistics, looking at roads, seaports. How do we get these goods, finished goods, to people within the community? How do we get it to the end users? If you go into Agbara, I have been to Agbara several times. The journey from Abeokuta to Agbara, your body will ache. It's almost 4 hours. And you and I know we get on an aircraft 4 hours, we know we're definitely out of the country. Your body will ache. But it's not so much the journey, but when you get into Agbara and you see the level of investment, it's not only the manufacturing, but when you see companies, they take you, they're building foundation. Their MDs, their staff are coming from afar. They also have like a small estate for the expatriates. When you fix the roads in that area, a community would open up. People will buy land to build bungalow. People will do housing projects, flat. Once people are leaving, schools will come, supermarkets will come, all those things will come. Of course, once they start living, your payee is guaranteed. People don't need to travel, even from Akute to Agbara. People dread the journey. But we need to have even the higher earning, not just the menial workers living close to the factory, but we need to have the senior people also living in that area because I know they will. They are ready to. Look at when international breweries opened up in Shagam. A lot of people were looking for accommodation. I can tell you some of the senior people are living in Abeokuta, commuting to the interchange in Shagam. But they can always, open up in that area for for residential. That's one thing. Getting the roads, getting the goods to the consumer. We don't have the consumers here, but that's fine. We can continue to produce, but let's fix our roads. Let's look at reducing the cost of doing business. And I will focus on power. I say nothing good comes out of the dark. Let's look at IPP projects. I know the governor is looking at this. I can tell you, even from the recommendations from the committee, IPP projects. Alternative energy sourcing. Right foods, for example, I can tell you they run on generators. And they are the cheapest in terms of quality and also quantity, value for the product. But the cost can go further down. They can, currently, they're not able to meet the demands. They're not. I have so many people coming to me, they say, look, I want to sign up as a distributor, but they can't meet the demand. But if the cost of operation goes down, it allows them to put more money back into the business. Cost of operation, looking at electricity. Another area in the area of social health, we need to look at health. I know the governor has been going around looking at the hospitals. In Ogun, for example, I know a hospital that was built by Governor Daniel. Good structure, if only it was maintained. I am the secretary to the Odogbolu Community Development Council, and they said they want to raise money to build a pediatric center for children. I said, have you been to the one in Odogbolu? Whatever money we raise, 20 million, we can use it to transform that place. Health is lacking. I've had the opportunity to go around, like I said, I went around some schools, and I do a lot with the schools, primary schools, education. If schools in Odogbolu, if we get 100 million, trust me, we can have walls, we can have toilets, we can have those basic things. Although a lot of people, through the OCDC or community association are doing their things, but in the area of social, those are the things from my experience. There's a lot. The governor cannot finish all. But those are the things that I know immediately, and I know he's already doing it. Even rural roads, they've already done a list. I heard that the schools, they're also looking at awarding, renovation of key schools across each road. I think maybe probably a certain number per local government across the school, which is a step in the right direction. Odogbolu can be considered to be on the outskirts because we share border with Ekpe. And I think that's to our advantage. You do business in Ogun State, you cross over to Lagos easily. But in the area of marginalization, I think that can only be possible if there's poor representation at local, state, and federal level. Although I don't share that view, but that can only happen if there's poor representation and also if people don't get involved in politics, if the right people don't get involved. Then you have poor representation, then marginalization can happen. But I don't think that's the case with Odogbolu.